I'm gonna use some candy. So I just lick my finger, get this, trying to accumulate a good little bit of sugar on my finger here. Yeah. And then what that's going to do is I'm going to lay my sapphires table down on top of that line here with the sugar on the surface of the ring. And then by doing that, it's going to make it so I can see exactly where my stones are going to be set, where I need to drill out my holes, and yeah, it's a cool little stone setting technique that I picked up, or like a stone layout technique. So I'm going to have room for more than just these 6 pink sapphires, so I'm going to just take all that I have. Try to line them up because they're kind of graduated in color from a pink to a purple. So I'm going to just try to do that. Actually, there's 7. I think that'll work. I'm just going to do the 7 here. Okay, so the next step for this, I got to kind of heat this up, and what that does is it heats up and hardens that sugar, okay. And then I'll pluck those stones off, and what will be left is like the indentation of the table facet on the surface here, and so that'll like indicate where I need to drill out my holes. So if this worked out good, then yeah, I can see the table facet there. And kind of just marks where I need to drill. Make sure it's centered. I want these to be nice and deep. I'm gonna bead set these so that way it just looks nice and uniform. We have nice little beads that support them, keep them in the metal, and it's a pretty classic form of setting, especially with this higher end type of work. And good bead setting is, you know, hard to come by. That's why I do a lot of it for some of the folks in the area that don't have an in-house goldsmith. So I'm going to do these little, what we call plunge cuts. And I'm basically just going to cut a straight line that's going to just, you know, create this rail on the outside of these setting areas. And then I'll mill grain that. I'm basically cutting out little beads that will be used to secure these stones. It'll all come together, and you'll be like, oh wow, that's awesome. But I'm just doing everything like one direction at a time, and then I'll just spin it around and do the other way. Okay, next thing. I'm going to cut these little areas in between the stones, like right down the middle. Okay. And I'm actually going to use a round graver for this. A little tiny one. Okay. So as you see here, I got all these little tiny little areas here, and those are going to act as basically like little prongs, and I'm going to use those to take my beading tool here, and then here momentarily I got to go back in and kind of remount those holes to get any flashing that might be remaining from doing these plunge cuts. So I'm just going to go in and just kind of get rid of any little flanges or it's flashing little thin bits of metal. Okay, I'm going to, near the top there, the beads are going to be just a little bit bigger than the other ones, so I gotta carve a little bit deeper between the rail and that bead. That way I can make sure I can like push that over properly. Alright, so now that we can start setting these stones. They should just snap right in. Yeah, that's about perfect. Okay, next one. And that stone has a really thick girdle on it. And you gotta kind of do, you can't dedicate all 4 prongs onto one. You gotta keep adding them in before you tighten the last one. So there's a kind of a progression that needs to take place. So before I could tighten this stone all the way, I had to add another one in because I'm going to be pushing those beads over, these mutual beads. Yeah, they share, the stones share the beads. So let's see here. Yeah, the gold's so soft, like it doesn't really take much pressure to form those. As I'm compressing that metal, it's actually hardening it. It's putting a temper on it. So yeah, it's going to require more effort to remove those stones, even though it's pretty easy to mold them. But yeah, you're basically at a molecular level. You are pushing all those molecules closer together, so it is hardening them. Nice bright cut channel. Just gonna reform these prongs just a little bit. And then last thing I'm gonna do on this area here, I'm gonna take my mill grain tool. That's like a little wheel that has tiny little beads, like little inverted spheres on the inside of them. And that's what creates, yeah, like basically it creates little tiny beads on the outside of that. Cool little effect. Very classy. Yeah. That's so nice. I love that look.